Hello, everyone. My name is Keith Otterberg, and I'm the Marketing Director at Cal State Dominguez Hills Extended Education. I'll be your host for this presentation, so welcome to everyone. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website and social media platforms shortly after today's session. Feel free to download the Global Logistics Certificate Program Information Kit for details about the program and additional resources that will be covered in the webinar. That link is bit.ly/CSUDH-GLX-InfoKit. And we've provided a link in the chat panel for those who are participating live via Zoom. It will also be available in a follow-up email to attendees as well as on our website. Before we start, I'd like to just review our Zoom controls. This session is being presented in webinar format, so you don't need to worry about connecting your microphone or camera. In order to help us address your questions, please feel free to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen if you're joining us from the Zoom desktop app or web browser, or in the top right of your screen if you're on a mobile device. Please ask your questions in the Q&A panel rather than in the chat panel. In the chat panel, we will be providing links and other information. Once you click the Q&A button, a dialog box will open, allowing you to type in your question. Our marketing staff members Anissa Barton-Thompson and Stephanie Buyukian are standing by to assist. We'll be answering those questions at the end of the session, although at times you may find that your question has been answered during the course of the presentation. With that said, let's take a quick look at today's agenda. We'll begin by meeting our Global Logistics Certificate instructor, who will discuss the current industry outlook and introduce you to the program via an overview of benefits, expectations, and course details. And now to lead off our session, I'll turn it over to DUANE Murphy. Take it away, DUANE.
Thank you, Keith, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us to discuss the Global Logistics Certificate program here at Cal State University, Dominguez Hills. A little bit of background about myself. I have over 30 years of experience in the global logistics industry in sales management, operations management, and compliance. I have a Bachelor of Science in Business from Long Beach State University. I have a Master's in Management from the University of Redlands, and currently I'm a global logistics consultant, and I am a logistics magician. I can turn any subject into logistics. Everything in the business world and in our physical world has a logistics component. You're looking at the International Space Station, and if you may be aware, companies like SpaceX are developing rockets and capsules to ferry goods and astronauts to and from the space station. What does this have to do with logistics? Well, in the future, much of our manufacturing in pharmaceuticals and electronics will be manufactured in space factories that are orbiting the Earth at 230 miles up. So, yes, in case you're wondering, there will be space shuttles with the UPS logo and the FedEx logo on them, shuttling goods and astronauts to and from, and employees who will be working in these factories. So, our program, we talk about not only the presence of logistics, what's happening now, what's happened in the past, but what will be happening in the future. And this is a very exciting time. It's a revolutionary time to be in the logistics industry or seeking a position in the logistics industry. And space is not only a frontier for science, but for logistics. Who should attend this course? Anyone who is seeking additional knowledge and information on the global logistics industry and its processes and documentation and compliance requirements. Whether you've been in logistics for 30 years like myself, or you're just starting out in logistics or only contemplating a career in logistics, this course will provide you the practical information, knowledge of transportation and logistics processes, and I will give you the ability to speak the language of global logistics. What's happening now in the industry, even during this COVID-19 pandemic, the logistics industry is still hiring. Let's begin our conversation with a look at one of the topics we'll be going over, globalization. We're going to have an in-depth discussion of the global industrial cycle. Why are our automobiles and electronics made in Japan and China? Why are foreign manufacturers building automobiles in the United States? Why will you begin seeing your Apple iPhone made in India? Why is Volkswagen putting automobile plants in Africa? So we're going to be talking about the reasons why this type of globalization of manufacturing and outsourcing of manufacturing of components and systems is happening. And there are many different reasons: economic, political, and financial. We'll also be talking about trade agreements. And as you are aware, President Trump just signed a new free trade agreement with Mexico and Canada. They are still our largest trading partners, and North America does a lot of business between all of our countries. So we'll be talking about how these trade agreements impact manufacturing, where it'll be, and how it'll be distributed, and obviously how it will be transported. Also, we'll take an in-depth look and show you the details of the global industrial distribution model. How our imports arrive in the United States, step by step, on how the processes are handled, how the processes are managed door to door. Now let's take a look at the transportation topics we'll be reviewing. We'll be going over the import-export networks and processes, including documentation. So I will be giving a full preview of how to import and export products and give you the practical knowledge so you can perform these tasks. We'll be reviewing all the modes of transportation in depth and how they interact and how they fit into the global distribution network and models. Also, the legal issues and the legal infrastructure of the transportation logistics industry. We'll be going over risk and liability, not only the risk and liability of damaged packages and cargo, but also the risk of becoming a part of the global industrial cycle. What are the risks if I manufacture in China or move my manufacturing to Vietnam or India or other countries? What are my risks of receiving payment from my customers? So we'll be talking about all the risk involved. Pricing structures. We'll have an in-depth discussion on how the transportation and logistics industry prices its services and products. And we'll be taking a look at the most popular and most utilized pricing models. And also, we'll be taking a look at domestic final mile networks and delivery networks. And during this COVID situation, we're all using Amazon and other websites to buy products and services. There's a revolution going on right now in the final mile delivery business, especially the small package. UPS, FedEx, and Amazon are changing how we order our products online and how they are delivered to us. So we'll be spending a lot of time there. This is a very revolutionary period in the logistics world when it comes to domestic distribution and that final mile, the package delivered to your door. Let's now take a look at regulatory compliance. Regulatory compliance includes customs brokerage. We will be having in-depth conversations and review of the entire U.S. customs clearance process for importing goods into the United States. So we're reviewing all the steps so you will have a good working knowledge of how goods are process and make a lawful entry into the United States. Documentation requirements. We will be reviewing in detail the essential documents required for importing and exporting to and from the United States. And these processes, these documentations and clearance processes are very similar to importing and exporting from other countries. Global security. Since the attacks on the World Trade Center 9/11, global security has changed dramatically. We will be discussing the processes and programs to ensure the security of cargo being imported and exported in and out of the United States. The taxation. We will be talking how taxation around the world affects and has a significant impact on where goods are being manufacturing and where labor is outsourced and where distribution centers are located, things like that. So we'll be talking about how government taxation impacts many of our logistics decisions globally. Tariffs and duties. Obviously, the additional tariffs imposed by the United States on China. So we'll be talking how tariffs and duties impact flows coming into the United States and how these duties impact the changes in the industrial. Let's look at government regulation.
So it looks like DUANE's connection has been frozen. We're going to pause for just a moment while DUANE gets his connection back online. Please stay with us for just a moment. Are you back? Are you back, DUANE?
I believe so. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay. So I would repeat that last slide.
Okay, we had a technical glitch there, so let me repeat the regulatory compliance slide to make sure that everyone gets the information. So we're going to be going over the import customs brokerage process in detail, so you will learn all the steps and all the documentation requirements for importing and exporting in and out of the United States. We'll be going over all the essential and required documents for importing and exporting in and out of the United States. Global security. Because of the events of 9/11, global security has changed the global logistics industry. We'll be reviewing the systems, the processes, and the different programs that help ensure that our cargo is safe. Taxation. When we talk about taxation, we'll be talking about how and when and how much governments tax their businesses, which has a major impact on where manufacturing is located, and therefore having an impact on the global industrial cycle and the subsequent outsourcing. So when we talk about taxation, we're talking about how countries tax their business, their inventories, and their distribution models. We'll be going into that in great depth. Tariffs and duties. This obviously is in the news recently because of the tariffs imposed by the United States government on certain Chinese-made products. We will talk about how tariffs and duties around the world have an impact on the origins of manufacturing, the global industrial cycle, and how tariffs and duties impact the import and export process. So let's talk a little bit about U.S. government regulation. The U.S. transportation logistics industry is regulated by the Department of Transportation, the DOT, and the international ocean carriers operating in and out of the United States and U.S. waters are regulated by the Federal Maritime Commission. So we will be reviewing their regulatory processes and how they have an impact on global logistics documentation and how ocean carriers and primarily the trucking industry as well, how they operate and work within the safety and other regulatory guidelines of these government agencies. So finally, let's talk for a few minutes about technology. When you may think of the transportation and global logistics industry as a low-tech, kind of a basic technology industry. Well, the transportation industry is on the forefront of some of the most cutting-edge computer technology. When we think of technology, we think of the basic technology like tracking, when you track a package through UPS or FedEx, and uses barcode technology that's been around for years. The warehouse and distribution industry, which we will be discussing, uses many different technologies. Barcode technology, they're starting to use RFID, radio frequency ID technology, drone technology, predictive analysis, which is used by Amazon and other online retailers. And the e-commerce industry as well, they use the same types of computer software technology and drone technology in the warehouses. So there's a lot of exciting things going on. UPS is the first US shipping company. They have a drone flight division called UPS First Flight, where they use drones to deliver pharmaceuticals between hospital campuses and things like that. FedEx is also using similar technology. And also UPS and FedEx are developing autonomous vehicles. So for both delivery and the line haul. So there's a lot of things going on in technology. And then equipment. So when we think of high technology in the global logistics industry, we really don't think of the equipment, like the airplanes and the trucks, even the trailers. We don't think of the advanced materials being used, like carbon fiber, advanced aluminum, and things to make things more, elements to make our equipment more fuel efficient and last longer and be more durable. So we will be reviewing equipment, because when you go to the airport, that plane you get on looks the same as the ones your parents got on when they were your age, but the planes are significantly different and they're a lot more high tech. So we'll be talking about the equipment as well as other information systems. Computer hardware and software. Well, there's a lot of things going on there with the advent of blockchain technology. The transportation and global logistics industry is one of the first users of this advanced blockchain technology for security purposes of documentation and other processes. The logistics industry is also working with companies like IBM that are developing quantum computing machines. These are computers that are 3-4 times faster than the fastest supercomputers that are used today for predictive analysis, predicting how much UPS will be picking up and delivering in the future. Amazon will be using it to predict sales, volume, predict how many products need to be manufactured, those kinds of things. So there's a lot of exciting things happening in the computer and hardware and software development areas as well. So if you like computer technology, if you like high technology in general, a lot of exciting things happening in technology as well. Let's review the individual courses for a moment. The first course is GLX 900, Introduction to Logistics. This is where we will begin our discussion, our general discussion on the global industry and the global industrial cycle and other aspects. GLX 901, Importing and Exporting. I will give you step-by-step instructions on how to become an importer or an exporter of products in and out of the United States or virtually anywhere in the world. And we will certainly be going over the documentation requirements and the marketing aspects of importing and exporting. In GLX 902, Global Logistics, we will continue and expand on our conversation and learning regarding the global logistics world with talking about the global distribution models and transportation models and networks and all related processes. GLX 903, we were talking about domestic transportation, trucking, final mile delivery, and also third-party logistics and e-commerce warehousing and storage. So GLX 903 is a very relevant class because a lot of my former students were involved with 3PL warehousing and distribution, and that's a big part of our global economy now, especially with the COVID-19 situation. Everybody's ordering from home, and this is these products come right through the e-commerce third-party distribution world. GLX 904, we're going to dive into the financial instruments and money available and loans available to finance importing and exporting trade deals in and out of the United States, and also financial instruments that will ensure that an importer and an exporter will make payment will be transmitted safely, and the vendor will receive payment in a timely manner. So there's an old saying in the logistics world, nothing moves until the bills are paid, right? So we'll be talking about that. And finally, GLX 905, hazardous materials. We'll be giving you in-depth working knowledge of how to handle hazardous materials or dangerous goods shipments, how to process them, fill out the paperwork, identify the key components, the regulatory requirements, and how to decipher the hazmat language, which is regulated by the Department of Transportation and the International Maritime Association. The required textbooks, the name of the book is Transportation, A Global Supply Chain Perspective, Cole, Novak, and Gibson, the 8th edition. If you find the 7th edition, that one will be sufficient as well. So let's talk a little bit about the features and benefits of this course. I talked a little bit earlier about why should I be taking this course. Well, let me talk about the features of this course as a summary. So at the end of this course, when you receive your certificate, you are going to have practical working knowledge and experiences that you can take to your job in logistics immediately. You can start interviewing with prospective logistics and transportation employers. And during the interview process, you're going to be able to speak to their processes in transportation and logistics. And probably more importantly, you're going to understand what the processes mean, how they relate to each other, and you're going to be able to speak the logistics language. Because as you can see on the screen, the logistics industry is becoming more complex every year, and there is a demand for individuals who have a background in transportation and have documented learning like the certificate program we have here. So I have had many students who have received positions with FedEx, UPS. I have one former student that just emailed me last night. He's applying for the largest ocean carrier in the world, Maersk, in Southgate, California. So there's a lot of things going on. So again, this course is going to lay a foundation that you can build a career on, and you will have the knowledge, you will have that head start the minute these courses are completed.
Great. Thank you very much, Dwayne. That was a great overview of the program. We're going to get back to you in a sec for our Q&A. But first, let's take a look at the course registration, how you register, and how the course is delivered. So the Global Logistics program is taught on Saturdays. Right now it's taught online, and there's usually one 6-hour class meeting per week that is broken up a little bit into breaks and so forth. You can complete all of the courses in the certificate in as little as 3 months. and the courses are taught twice a year in the fall and in the spring. So to enroll, if you have not taken a course at Dominguez Hills before, you need to call our registration office, and that number is 310-243-3741, and then you push option 1. They are open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you have taken a course in the last couple of years, you can enroll on your My CSUDH account. And once you've enrolled in that first course, then you're in the system and you'll be able to enroll online for subsequent courses. You can enroll in one course at a time, or you can enroll in all the courses or a few of the courses, whatever's convenient to you. Payment is due at the time of registration. We highly recommend also that you enroll at least 1 week prior to the start date of the course. This allows us to get you in the system, get you registered onto your accounts, which will enable you to take the course. If you, as I mentioned, payments due at the time of registration. If you need funding to take the course and you're out of work, you may be eligible for the assistance under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And if that's the case, email our office at wioa@csudh.edu. Also, you can apply for loans. Sally Mae is one student loan provider that provides loans for training courses such as these. And you can also Google private student loan providers, and that will get you other providers as well. So, like I say, you need to enroll at least 1 week prior to the course start. And the reason for this is so that you can get into our system. And there are 3 basic systems that you need to get into. One is Blackboard, which delivers all of the course materials and is where the class is conducted. Zoom, which allows you to take part live, and Toro Mail, which is where all the official campus emails are sent. So you'll want to get in about a week prior to the course starting so that you can make sure that you have access to all these tools and can and don't have any problems with them. Once you have registered, it'll take about 2 to 3 days for the campus to send you the login credentials, and you'll be able to access mycsudh.edu, and that will allow you access to Blackboard and Zoom and email. And as I said, Blackboard is where the course is, Zoom is how it's delivered, and CSUDH email is where all of the important notices are delivered. So once you register, check your personal email and then also check your Toro email once you have that in order to get all the campus announcements. So now we're getting to the FAQs, and we'll first start out while we're generating questions in the Q&A by starting out with a few questions for DUANE. So DUANE, what's the difference between supply chain and logistics?
The key difference between supply chain and logistics, supply chain focuses more on procurement, purchasing, and manufacturing. And our course focuses on transportation, compliance, importing, and exporting.
Okay. Next question. How do I get hired in global logistics without any experience?
Well, that's a good question. As I mentioned earlier, this course and this certificate program is going to give you a good footing, a good foundation of practical knowledge that employers are looking for. So I can help any student, and we can go over it in class. The websites that employers are looking for workers. You can post your resumes, that kind of thing. And I can also assist people on how to develop a resume that will catch the eye of transportation companies that are hiring, and simply putting the global certificate on your resume. People will see that. They'll see that you have a good foundation, and I can help you on the interview process. But you're going to have a good foundation. You're going to be able to speak the language of global logistics, and employers want this. When I hire people in the logistics industry, if they know what bill of lading is, a commercial invoice is, a packing list, do they understand the 4 major steps of customs clearance? I know that these people have a good first step, and I know that this person can also be trained with additional information. So don't let your perceived lack of experience prevent you from applying. And I can help you, and I can give you guidance on how to interview, set up your resume, certain websites. I can help you get started.
Great. And while DUANE's answering these questions, I just want to remind everyone, if you have any questions that we haven't addressed yet, please put them in the Q&A. So DUANE, big question. Is there any homework in this program?
Under most circumstances, there is not homework. Okay, we do everything in class. The way I've run the class is open discussion, learning, reviewing processes. We have case studies that we work on together in class. So there is only homework in a very unusual circumstance.
Okay. And what happens if someone has a schedule conflict on one of the days of the class?
Sure. Because of the nature of the classes, some of the classes are only 2 Saturdays, some of the classes are 4. The last 2 classes are only 1 day. So obviously, if you miss a 1-day class, you will have to take it the following semester, unfortunately. But if you have well, let me back up. Because of the nature of the classes, they're only 1 day a week. I strongly recommend that you avoid a conflict as much as you possibly can. I understand family emergencies and other things come up. Emergencies at work might come up. So if you're going to miss a class, please notify me as far in advance as you can, and I will assign a homework assignment for you to complete that will give you the information we went over that day.
Great. We have a question from a student. How is the course graded?
The course is graded credit or no credit, and the credit is gained by attendance and participation.
Great. Okay. So among the FAQs is, what kind of certificate do I get? I'll answer that. You get, once you have completed all the courses in the certificate, you can apply to have your record reviewed. And once we approve that you have taken all the courses, you will receive a paper certificate, something you can put on your wall, as well as an electronic certificate, which you can share via your various social media channels. That electronic certificate is really good when you put it on your LinkedIn profile and other places, and that allows employers who are looking through your social media presence in the industry, that allows them to know that you've taken this this certificate, and so that'll only enhance your chances of landing a job. Next question is, how much does it cost? The total cost for the 6 courses is $1,190, and the book is approximately $340. It varies depending on which online retailer. If the course If the program is held in person, you'll have parking fees, but right now that's not the case. So those are the only two costs you have to think about. And the last question, how long do I have to complete the full logistics program? There is no time limit on it. However, you'll want to complete it as quickly as possible so that you can get that certificate onto your record as having completed it, so you can show that to your potential employers. In addition, as DUANE mentioned, the industry is moving really fast and is impacted by technology, and we know how fast technology moves. So you don't want to take too long to complete the program, because if you take too long, then the information that you obtained in a course taken long ago may be out of date. So you'll want to knock these out as quickly as possible so that they can impact your career. So are there any further questions?
And so far.
Okay. So at this point, we've covered a great deal of information about the program, but just in case we missed anything, please feel free to contact us. Our email is learn@csudh.edu, or you can call us at 310-243-2075. If you're ready to take the next step and register, our registration office number is 310-243-3741, and then you push option 1. And if you've recently been a student at Dominguez Hills, remember you can register online using My CSUDH. Again, the hours of registration are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to 1. We'd like to get your feedback on today's session. If you can please go to the bit.ly address here and give us some feedback. We'd love to hear it. We'd love to be able to improve this webinar for future presentations. I'll leave that on for a bit so you can get the link. So thank you very much for participating in our info session, and thank you for joining us. Again, feel free to reach out to us by email, on our website, on our Facebook or LinkedIn group, and remember to register early to get your spot in the classes. We'll stay in the session for a few minutes more to give everyone a chance to jot down last-minute notes and download the links from the chat. And after that, we hope to see you again soon in the classes. Thank you very much.